like I was saying earlier, it takes that one person to believe in you. And people might think, yo, he's an asshole. Yes, I am. I'm a big asshole. When it comes to protecting my fighters, I'm going to go to war. I'm going to say whatever. I'll disrespect whoever. And like you said, Eddie Hearn, probably one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful guy in boxing, but my fighter was upset.
I was going to say, when I started coaching in the amateur game, people would question me as to why I was involved in the sport, because there's literally no money involved in amateur boxing unless, let's say, you're at GB and you're doing international fights, right? There's no money. And you talking about you've been involved in the sport, for, obviously longer, but for 13 years you've been involved in the female game at the professional level. There obviously was no money. So I guess the question I'm going to ask you is why? What motivated you to get involved with, particularly in promoting female fighters?
So my daughter, right? So when I found out I was having a daughter, my daughter is the reason why I stopped boxing. My daughter's 13 now. So I seriously got into women's boxing when I found out I was having a daughter, and that was my last fight. I think I had my last fight in New Zealand when my daughter's mother was pregnant. 2 reasons, right? I want equality for women, right? A lot of people don't know this. Like, yeah, they always see me joking and I'm opinionated, but I do want equality for women, right? And a lot of people may or may not know my daughter is interracial. My daughter is half black, half, whatever I am.
Okay, half, whatever. What am I?
Whatever I am, you know what I mean? Everybody has questions anyway, so it is what it is. So I think it's important, especially in America, to try to bridge the gap, between for equality for women and fair pay in sports, which would carry over to business and everything else and anything else that my daughter wanted to do. So if I can help that in any way, shape, or form, that's kind of why I started really going hard for women. Because look, I can go to a boxing gym and sign 8 guys today. You know what I mean? And maybe I get 1 regional title out of it, but I had like 47 female champions. I put 47 belts around. It's an uneven number, right? But I've won 47 female titles, right? And to me that means something, because whether that female later on in life gets pregnant, has kids, does whatever she has to do, she'll always have that to say that she was a champion, and I'm glad that I was a part of it. Even the ones that I don't deal with no more, or the fighters that I've released, at least I could say I impacted their life in some way, shape, or form, and try to continue to impact females and bring the equality to sports.
Don't you have? I wrote it down somewhere. 22 fighters are you currently managing?
Female, all female. Yeah.
Yeah. O'Shea Jones? Wow.
Yeah. O'Shea fights March 29th. She's going to fight for the IBF international title. It's an eliminator, and she's currently signed. She just got signed with the new company in the United States called Overtime, OTX, and she'll be fighting in Atlanta, Georgia.
I saw it. I follow her on Instagram.
Yeah. O'Shea's lovely.
I've followed her since the amateurs. She's got a brother, and I interviewed a brother, and she gave me the blank.
So O'Shea actually trains here in Philadelphia. So she trains with Boots' dad. So she trains with Bozy. So Bozy is her trainer. So for every camp, they get an Airbnb, her, and she trains with Haven Brady Jr., who's a young prospect. I think he's 10-0. He's actually also signed with Overtime, so they'll be fighting on the same cards every time that they fight. But she trains here in Philly. And actually, I'm going to bring...
Hook a girl up.
What's that?
Hook a girl up.
Say no more. I got you. So March 10th, I'm bringing Mary Spencer from Canada. So Mary Spencer is going to come here to Philly and get some work with O'Shea.
Yeah, I've been watching her since the amateurs. Quality little fighter. And somebody that generates a lot of interest on social media, very confident, You know, she reminds me a little bit of a young Carissa Shields, very cocky and sure of herself. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, listen, man, she grew up in Toledo. She has to be cocky and sure of herself. You know what I mean? Toledo isn't, you know, it's a little rough at certain points, as are all cities, right? But O'Shea works hard. She's a very determined, very appreciative young lady, and I'm just happy to work with her. And she doesn't question anything. She don't care who she's fighting. I just tell her if she's southpaw and or orthodox, and that's again, that's another good thing. I don't have to. Some of these female fighters, or some of these fighters in general, they want to know what color shoelaces the fighters are wearing. They want to know everything about the fighter. I call the trainer, hey Bozy, here's the opponent. You cool with it? Yeah, cool. All right, bye. That's it. I don't have to worry about anything. Honestly, I don't have to worry about anything. She's not going to call me and say, hey, why?
She's too busy training.
That's it. You know what I mean? So, too busy training. Too busy being a fighter.
Listen, she's another one that I believe will be a star in this guy. I'm not just saying that.
Yeah, well, 100%. So Split Team Management, which is the company I work for, we've been doing everything on our own, you know, getting her fights and things like that, and, you know, paying for fights here and there. But now that she has a promoter, she's scheduled to fight, you know, 4 times this year on DAZN. She has a really good contract. She has really good promoters. The good thing about the promoters over time is they're young. The company is a very young company, and they're very open to my interpretation as to what direction to go in. Right, so there's no kickback from the promoters or anything, and they let me do my thing basically, which is that's all I could ask for. And they signed 2 other of my females as well.
The first time that I ever saw you was in an interview before I'd actually even met you, and before I'd even interviewed Kali. You were in an interview. I think it was Linda Dartu, hopefully I've pronounced that correctly. You were preparing, not you, she was preparing for the fight against Katie Taylor. And you had that little push back and forth, not literal push back and forth, but you stuck it on Eddie Hearn. And why it stuck out to me is because he's such a powerful figure in professional boxing that everybody kind of, for lack of a better word, kowtows to him a little bit. And you didn't. And that stuck out to me, that it was like, listen, I'm here for the good of my fighter. I don't know what you're doing over there, but this is what I've got to say about it. You know what I mean? I think you were pushing back about, I don't know, I can't remember.
It was a rematch clause. It was a rematch clause that we wanted in the contract that he wouldn't give up. And you know, as Christina was the champion at the time. She was the WBO 140 champion, and Katie Taylor was actually going up in weight, and I just wanted a rematch clause, you know, but he wouldn't do it. And then Christina, we came in that morning. She came in from Greece. I came in from America, and she was crying. And I'm emotional. Look, I might come off like a jerk, you know, but like when it comes, no, it's serious. Like I know, you know, I'm very sensitive when it comes to females crying. I can't handle it. So when, you know, having to deal with her crying all morning, and, you know, trying to calm her down and trying to talk her down. And then he's up there trying to make little funny jokes and shit like that. Not where I'm from. You ain't going to clown me, especially on stage in front of people. You're not going to do that to me. So that was it. Yeah, he is a powerful guy. But he bleeds red. He breathes the same air I breathe. So don't make him no better than me.
I think you guys pushed back after the fight as well. I remember seeing that interview, and Christina was not happy. But again, I thought what was interesting about that, and I'm sure he would say this, again, I can't speak for him, but I think probably everybody deals with him in a certain way, and you dealt with him, the subtext was, you can't with me. And I think there must be, from a man's point of view, a level of respect to you. You know, even if he doesn't say it out loud, to be like, you know what, I can't play with this man.
The old adage is you have to give respect to get respect. Now, like, my thing is, I'm not going to let anybody disrespect me or my boxers. For one, and this is not a sexist thing or anything like that. They're females, right? They're somebody's mother, they're somebody's sister, they're somebody's daughter. And if they're in my care, It's my job to protect them. So I'm not going to let anybody clown them or think it's funny, or I'm not going to let anybody take advantage of them. And that's how I manage. And people might think, yo, he's an asshole. Yes, I am. I'm a big asshole. When it comes to protecting my fighters, I'm going to go to war. I'm going to say whatever. I'll disrespect whoever. And like you said, Eddie Hearn, probably one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful guy in boxing. But my fighter was upset, which makes me upset, which you're going to hear in my mouth.
Your fighters are constantly on his cards, so you can't have upset him that much.
Exactly.
There must be a level of respect. Do you know what I'm saying?
Over the years, we built... I mean, Leonard Datu fought her how many years ago, and I've been dealing with them ever since. So we do have that mutual respect. You know, like... you know, WhatsApp messages and whatnot. You know what I mean? Every time he sees me, it's nothing but respect. And, you know, same for him, because I'm going to be honest with you, without Eddie, I don't think a lot of the British fighters would have got any of the opportunities that they've gotten, male and female. You know, I mean, I think he did an amazing job in shedding a light on boxing in the UK. I mean, it's, you know, he's always had promoters there, but Eddie took it to the next level. And that's me being honest, not kissing his ass.
I agree with you. I do think that he dropped the ball slightly on the female side. And what I mean by that is he introduced it, and then when the Olympics came around, I really thought that he was going to grab all the real quality fighters, and then they went with boxer. And I was kind of like, come on, man, you should have just got your wallet out and snatched who you needed to snatch, because I am telling you, there are some quality fighters on boxer that, to be fair, should have really been on Matchroom. And I don't mean that as a disrespect to boxer, because it's, you know, it's in terms of it against Matchroom, it's almost a start, although it's not a startup. In terms of being against Matchroom and their platform on DAZN, they are a startup in comparison. And so at that point, I was like, you know what, you kind of dropped the ball, because my man over there was like, whatever it needs, I'm going to get my wallet out. And he did, to be fair. I heard behind the scenes he was, you know, he did whatever he needed to do. I think he took off his... Some people could say...
Yeah.
It was lack of knowledge.
No. I'm going to tell you. With Ben, right? So... who are the two females that they're a couple?
Pryce and Kali Reis.
And who's their trainer? Jamie? Is it Jamie? Who's their trainer?
The trainer is, they train with someone at GB still. So they're still part of the GB setup. They still train in Sheffield.
I don't, and I can easily go back in my WhatsApps, but Ben had contacted me, and he asked me to map a road for them to titles and things like that, because the trainer was getting on them because he was about to sign them. So they did have a clear path from the formula that I gave Ben. So he did reach out and try to do a little research, because admittedly, he don't know anything about women's boxing either.
He's willing to learn. And this is where I say some people, I think in the beginning, sorry to cut across you, Brian, I think some people in the beginning were kind of like, who's this guy just coming into boxing and he doesn't... I tell you what, I know for a fact, he did what it took to sign certain fighters. He took his ego hat off, slung it to the side, and got his big fat wallet out. That's what he did. He did what he had to do. And fair play to him.
Yeah. Well, if you look at it, right, so if you look at, I don't know if you watch professional wrestling, right, but the WWE is like Matchroom, right? AEW, which is the new company, is Boxer, right? And it's comparable to the same thing, you know? He did do whatever it takes, and he continues to do whatever it takes. And he does, they put on quality shows. They don't put on bad shows or anything like that.
But effectively, he should not, on paper, shouldn't have been able to get all those Olympians. Should he really?
No. I mean, everybody's dream like, again, you don't want to, like, in a wrestling standpoint, right? You don't want to wrestle for the other guy. You want to wrestle for the WWE. The WWE's been around for years. Who wouldn't want to be signed? You know, who wouldn't want to be signed to Matchroom? Everybody knows Matchroom. Everybody knows Eddie Hearn. I guess.
And it's not to be disrespectful, but I say that and listen, he's managing different balls. He's trying to keep loads of things up in the air. But to me, he has dropped the ball when it's come to female fighters, in my opinion.
So, you know what it is too? So, again, it's just like training. You can't do everything, right? My company, Split Team Management, we manage, I think it's 65 males, right? And I have the 20-something females that I manage. But I manage them because nobody else would know the women's game like me. I think if you have a promotion as big as Matchroom, as big as Boxer, you need a female guy, right? To not drop the ball. Like when we had all these fighters signed with DeBella, at one time, Mary McGee, Kali Reis, Jessica Camara, I was the one out looking for vacant titles. I was the one contacting. Nobody from DeBellas was doing it. Not saying that it was their job, but it was their job. But I'm the manager. It's my job. So I think if you have a huge promotion, if you have a big promotion like a Matchroom, like a Boxer, I think you need a female boxing guy that knows how to navigate those fighters towards titles. And, otherwise, what are we doing here?
I think some people don't want to invest the money, if I'm honest. I think some people are late to the game. Now they're seeing other promoters are making money and they're playing catch up. And some people just don't want a female on the team.
If I'm signing a fighter with a promotion, my question is, who's making the matches? Or am I in control? Right? 9 times out of 10, I am in control. The promoter will give me a budget, and of course I'm going to stack the deck in my fighter's favor, but not 80-20 fights. I want my fighters to fight 60-40s, you know what I mean? In some cases 50-50s to give them a little test. But I don't just go around signing my fighters to promotions that have no experience with females.
What I was going to ask you was, how do you select your fighters that you work with? Knowing how important it is for those points that you've just mentioned. What is your criteria to consider taking on a new client?
I have to be able to vibe with the fighter. Because, like I said, you're in a relationship with that person. So you have to be able to have a good communication with that fighter. If the fighter is going to communicate through a trainer, I don't want nothing to do with you. If a fighter is hypersensitive and doesn't have a sense of humor, I don't want anything to do with you. And it's okay. Some people, this is a serious business. And trust me, I mean, I'm sure you know I'm very serious. And I'm very serious about protecting females and boxers in general. But I got to be able to vibe with you. If I can't vibe with you, if you can't call me up and say, hey, what's going on? Hey, how was your day? Because that's what I do with my fighters. I like to keep things personal. I like to think of it like a family. I don't like to think of it, I got you for this many years. I got you for this many fights. I get this percentage of you. It's just not the way that I was taught, right? My dad managed fighters, right? So we used to have the fighters at the house for dinner. You know what I mean? Their families was my family. I grew up in a boxing gym, so I knew how my father treated his boxers. He treated his world champions the same as he treated his 4-round fighters, and I do the same thing. I like to call and check in on my fighters. It's just a level of respect that I think every manager should have to make it a little bit more personal and less business. So that's my criteria. That's number one. Number two is they have to have something, right? You have to have either that it. You either like a great boxer, you're marketable, you're able to speak, or you have a great story, right? Some of them have great stories, right? Kali, she was, a fringe contender, right? But had a great story that had potential that nobody saw. I did, you know what I mean? So once, obviously, you could see the trajectory of her career once I started managing her, how it progressed. Ebony, I brought Ebony here from Australia. I seen something in Ebony. I brought her here. She fought in Indiana. I was the one that brought Ebony here, So I seen something in Ebony. I seen how she trained. I seen how much she wanted it. Her pro debut, she broke her ankle and kept fighting. Who does that? Everybody has a story. I signed a young lady from Uruguay. She's going to make her pro debut. Her name is Flo. It's a Spanish last name. She fought in a team combat league. She went 11-3 last year, but beating them like world champions and former world champions. And she's here all by herself. She has nobody, and she lives in Vegas. So she has a story, right? That's the criteria I use. Obviously, you don't have to be the most skilled. You can learn on the job. I have Leanna Cruz, right? Leanna Cruz, 7-0. Amazing young lady, right? 26 years old, can speak, can fight, can talk, beautiful, 0 amateur fights. Nobody would touch her because she didn't have no amateur experience. She's 7-0. She's the NABF champion. You know what I mean? So there's like even O'Shea. Listen, O'Shea, not a lot of people would sign her. She was difficult to put in front of promoters for whatever reason, right? Some family issues and things like that.
I believe you.
Right? You don't give up. And we kept plugging along, and this great company, Overtime, came along and signed her. And now, like I said, she has a family. She has a great contract. She has these people, the promoters, they love her. And, so every fighter is different, but like they're kind of like the 3 or 4 bases that like I use to sign a fighter.
Mark this down. A year or 2 from now, Brian, they're going to be kicking themselves because that kid's going to be a star, I'm telling you.
100%. I agree.
What I like about what you've just said, all of what you've just said, is yes, you look at talent, but you're not someone that denies the fact that social media, being able to sell themselves, and a great story is the thing that also sells a fighter. Because I think there are certain promoters, trainers, managers that blow smoke up someone's arse and go, "You're the most amazing fighter," when they know they're not. And then that person shuts their ears and then they don't want to listen, they don't want to learn, they don't want to grow.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like I said, it's literally a relationship, right? Another thing that you look at like is the trainer. Is the trainer a trainer, or is the trainer being trained by the fighter, right? Because how many times does that happen? Is the trainer, open for whatever? Like again, all right. So Tierra Brown, right? 16-0. She got released from DeBella, I don't know how many years ago. Nobody would touch her. Says she's difficult to work with. It was the simplest, easiest contract signing I've ever had with a fighter. I don't know what anybody was talking about because nobody took the time to talk to the girl. Everybody heard what they heard about her. She's difficult. She's hard to deal with. Easiest, simplest contract signing I've ever done. You know what I mean? And I have a 16-0 fighter, and I'll let you know now that nobody else really knows. She signed with Overtime. So her next fight is going to be for an eliminator for the WBC title. And Sky Nicholson coming after her.
I followed her as well, Tierra Brown. The other thing I was going to say is for a long time now, I've never listened to this difficult to work with scenario. Because I work in an industry like Kali, that when people stand their ground, ask for what they're worth, and don't take any BS, they are labelled as being difficult to work with. So that narrative for me, I have a difficult relationship with it. I have to... Listen, I also understand that if everybody's saying it, there might be a grain of truth, but personally I like to kind of get to know the person and see, is there a grain of truth in that or not? So
it's like Jackie, like like I was saying, like people might say I'm an asshole, I'm hard to work with. No, in talking to you now, the reason why I am like that is because I'm very protective.
I don't think you're an arsehole.
Well, I'm just saying it may go around that or I'm difficult. Yes, like I said before, I am, because I'm here to protect the fighter, 100%. You know what I mean? I'm not going to let a promoter get over on my fighter. I'm not going to let a matchmaker undercut my fighter. I'm not going to let any of that happen because I know the business. So if people do say that about me, get to know me.
Where is a badge?
There it is. Oh, I embrace it. I love it. I love being the bad guy. I love being the bad guy. I don't care. So it doesn't come out as a surprise to anybody. But I like being the bad guy.
Can you share any of these memorable experiences about managing any of your fighters, Melissa Hernandez, Shelley Vincent, and of course, obviously, Kali, your wife? Are there any moments that stick out to you where you've had to kind of put it on a promoter or in order to get, apart from obviously Eddie Hearn?
God, there's so many. There's just so many. I mean, in regards to what? Getting them on a card or fighting for the pay, or there's just so many.
Yeah, it could be anything really. Fighting for pay, just making sure that you're getting the best possible deals for your fighters.
Yeah, I mean Melissa Hernandez. Like I said, we don't really talk at all anymore. We had a little falling out, but it's not to say that I didn't think she was a great fighter at the time, and I wouldn't, again, I wouldn't bend over backwards for her, like when I had her, under contract and beyond. There was times I couldn't get her on cards. There was times I had to pay to get her on cards. And she was such a talented young lady, right? I just remember thinking that this she's so talented, and it's a shame that nobody is going to see this her talent. She was a showman, almost Camacho-esque, dancing to the ring, would have all the awkward movements in the ring and things like that. And, how talented she was. It just baffled me that nobody would give her a chance because she was a female. Another female that I will say that I managed, who I think is probably the best that I've ever managed, Ronica Jeffrey. If nobody knows Ronica Jeffrey, go watch some video of Ronica Jeffrey. If Ronica Jeffrey had a different chromosome, I'd be a millionaire, and so would she right now. If she was a guy, Ronica was the truth. Ronica could box, Ronica could punch, Ronica could counterpunch, Ronica's reflexes were on point. Ronica was amazing. So I always give Ronica her flowers, and I used to love to watch her fight because I'm like, I can't believe that she's not going to be seen on TV. And this is going back years ago, right? That she's not going to be seen on TV. And unfortunately, she wanted to retire when boxing started getting real, started to explode a bit. And, she retired with, yeah, I mean, she was 17-1-1. And to me, Ronica was the truth.
It just wasn't the time, If it wasn't for those types of fighters, then these girls most certainly would not have the platform they currently have. And I think sometimes they forget that. The people that have come before them and paved the way.
Yeah, and I think they're spoiled brats. Some of them are spoiled brats. Some of them appreciate what they have. Some of them are spoiled brats. Like I said, man, title fights, $3,000. You know what I'm saying? Like, now they complain if they're fighting an 8-rounder for $10,000. Like, come on, man. Come on, guys. Like, don't do that. Be grateful, because there's a lot of great fighters that paved the way for these females. There's Melissa Del Valle from New York. There's Belinda Laraquente, who fought everybody. Obviously, you're going to say Christy Martin, Layla Ali, which I have an issue with her. But, there's a lot of fighters that paved the way for these Ann Wolf, that these newbies they should pay homage to the fighters of the past and appreciate what they have. They have a platform. They have the Zone. They have a Sky Sports. When back in the day, these other women who can fight their asses off, and if you drop some of them in this era, would beat a lot of the top females now. Should pay homage to some of these women, because they're the ones that paved the way and opened up the doors for them.
What role do you believe mentorship plays in career development of boxers? And how have mentors influenced your own journey?
I was brought up in this game, watching my father manage fighters in Philadelphia and being in a training camp with Marvin Hagler, and my father's sparring partner was Mike Tyson, and so I was brought up in this thing, and being around Hall of Fame promoters and boxers and things like that, and it played a huge part into me continuing it. I mean, look at, man, 8 years old, I started. I'm 48. I'm still in the game, still relevant, still changing, still adapting, still learning, right? So it's all, and that's the thing. I don't think I know everything. I'm always keen to learn from somebody. But I always think you should have a mentor. As a fighter, you should always ask questions, and it's okay. And if your manager is being, a little suspicious with giving you the answers, maybe wait for that contract to expire or something and get yourself a new manager, because I like to tell my fighters everything. I like to share emails with them. I like to share text messages with them. I like to see them, because maybe one day they want to get out of the fighting. Maybe they want to manage. Maybe they want to do something in the sport like I did, So I think it's important that you as a fighter, you look beyond boxing and just try to learn what, like, like what your manager is doing. How does he negotiate? How does he ask for a higher purse? How does he ask for that extra ticket, that extra room? How? You know what I mean? It's just important. I think fighters need to pay attention instead of sitting back and having somebody do everything for them. And like I said, if the manager or the mentor or the advisor, or whatever the new terminology is not happy to share that with you, then something a little fishy going on.
100%. So you're saying your dad was a sparring partner of Mike Tyson. So I'm guessing you.
No, no, no. My dad managed boxers, so my father had fighters by like they're fighters from the '80s, like Buster Drayton. Buster Drayton was the former IBF junior middleweight champ who actually came to England and beat Mark Kaler 1 month. He knocked Mark Kaler out. Mark Kaler was I think he was the British middleweight champion. And then he came back the following month and knocked out Jimmy Cable, who was the British junior middleweight champion, right? And Buster was my idol when I was growing up. I loved the guy. He just passed away last year from cancer, which I'm still not okay about. But I would go everywhere with my father, with Buster. Just being around that, learning that. Anthony Witherspoon, who's Timmy Witherspoon's brother, my father managed, who was Mike Tyson's sparring partner for the Michael Spinks fight. So I was like, I was around all this when I was a kid, So that's why I don't get awestruck, and like I've been around people. That's why talking to Eddie Hearn the way I talk to him, I'm okay with it. I mean, he's like I said, I've I've seen the biggest in the sport before, you know. But in the same note, now I have mutual respect for Eddie, and Eddie, I'm sure, has it for me. But
We briefly touched on it earlier on. You manage your wife, who is you managed. Sorry, let me get that out because I was going to say you manage your wife. What?
I'm still trying to manage that situation.
Yeah, I know that. That sounds like you're beating her. Like,
I'm trying to manage that now. Make me breakfast.
You manage and are married to boxer and actor Kali Reis. Something she said when I asked her what she'd learned about herself during shooting Night Country. I had to think about there's so much things that she's done recently. I had to think about what it's called. And she basically said that she learned that what the director and the writer of Catch the Fair One said, but particularly what you had said and seen in her, that you weren't blowing smoke up her arse when you first met her. That, she now believes that she has that talent that everybody was saying that she had. Tell me about the moment that you knew. You've briefly touched on it earlier on, but tell me about that moment when you knew that Kali was going to go all the way and she was going to earn you some dough.
I mean, so to be around Kali is to love Kali, right? When it was just a boxer-manager relationship, it was strictly professional. Never, I never even got like a close hug with Kali. It was always, the friendship hug or anything like that. But watching somebody train and watching somebody bust their ass and watching somebody do what people say that they can't do, it just really impressed me about her. And I told her one day, from, her being native and what they've done to the native people over the years, I told her I feel like she was taking fights to punish herself. That's what I told her. I feel like it was like a systematic thing in her brain that she would, take fights on short notice, take fights for the money. There's one day I just told her, I said, "You're better than this. You're so much better than that." And I think that you don't have to punish yourself anymore. Like, she stood in relationships that she probably shouldn't have. She got disrespected in certain relationships that she probably shouldn't have. But I think she did it because she didn't think she was good enough. And like I was saying earlier, it takes that one person to believe in you, right? And I know with her, I was that person. And you can see, and I'm not taking credit. She always had it in her. She just had to have it shown to her, right? All the credit goes to her for having that resolve in her. I just think somebody needed to bring it out of her and tell her, okay, you're good enough. You can do this. You can compete with Cecilia Brækhus. You can win actual world titles. You can. You can shoot movies. You can do whatever. You can do it. And I think after that, to be honest with you, she just started. It's this full steam ahead, choo choo kind of sort of thing. You know what I mean? So yeah, no, I think that was pretty much it.
The interesting thing, she said, if you'd have asked me a year ago, which I find quite hard to believe, to be fair, not because I think she's a liar, because of what you were saying, that when I met her, and to me it was apparent how talented, but not only, I mean, she's a great person. We spoke for about 2.5 hours the first time I met her. We'd done our interview and we spoke for a long time. I felt like I'd known her for years. It was very strange. But she was saying that, you know, if you'd have asked me a year and a half ago, I wouldn't be sitting in this place going, actually, I'm quite talented. I'm not saying it in a big-headed way, but I'm actually all right. I'm hardworking. I've got tenacity, etc., etc. And what I think, and again, I'm not saying that any woman needs the permission of her husband, but what I find quite interesting as a female that has gone through things that your wife has gone through, with people telling you you're not good enough, and what's interesting is actually when you start to think about it, it's like, well, actually I must be good at something because that person keeps telling me and keeps trying to put me down. What's interesting to me on the outside is that you are very, very good friends. And number two is the fact that you don't seem to be intimidated at all by your wife's success.
Me being, I'm not intimidated?
Listen, like I say, from the outside, listen to what I'm saying to you. As a female, because I am telling you, not all men can handle it, Briancohen, right? As a female, I'm going, but this man is like, here's my wife, let her take the stage, and I tell you what I'll do? I'll just stand back and admire her from here. Crack on, Kali. That to me is the most beautiful gift that you can give to any woman. And I'm not saying we need your permission. Listen, she's a strong woman, but there is just sometimes that we just need someone to go,
yeah, no, I appreciate it. And just let me be clear. She wasn't my wife when I told her these things before. She was just my boxer, right? And I think, you know, telling her that, and it made her a better boxer, made her a better fighter, made her a better person when I shared that with her.
I'm talking about recently. I've watched on social media you going, yeah, that's my girl.
You know, why wouldn't I? And I had a revelation. I had a revelation recently, and it was if I can show up at a fight and not train that fighter, but the trainer lets me take the wheel, right? And I can get that fighter to do whatever I want, right? Verbally, right? Why can't I just come home and why would I be confrontational? Why would I be jealous of my wife? Why would I be any of that? When I go home, I check in with these fighters. I see how their day is going, how their training is going, how everything is going in their life, right? Why can't I be that supportive to my wife? Why can't, hey, did you talk to your manager today? Did you talk to your publicist today? What can I do to help you? Is there anything you need me to do? Why can't I do that? I do that for boxers. This woman is my wife who we're supposed to spend the rest of my life with, right? Why shouldn't I be proud of her? She's a representation of me. She's a representation of my daughter. She's a great role model for my daughter, right? To me, she's achieved things that, it's people only aspire to do, right? So why not celebrate it? Right. So yeah, I'm gonna sit back. I'm gonna sit way back. You know what I mean? And just be supportive and see what she needs. And I love the relationship that we have. I mean, look, she drove to Long Island with me this weekend, right? We went to the boxing matches. We still share that, right? When she was filming in Iceland, I was there 7 times to see her. I went back and forth 7 times to see my wife. Why not be supportive? What do you need today? What can I do for you today? Don't you do anything today. I got it. You know what I mean? Sit on the couch. You was doing media all day. I got it. Be supportive. Why not be supportive? You know what I mean? There was one day she was doing interviews all day. I put her on the couch. I said, don't move. So I cooked breakfast, lunch, and dinner for her. I just think everybody needs that solid foundation, right? Sport and boxing, and I think in your home life, I just want to support my wife. I just, I love her. I love what she's done. I love the person that she is. There's no reason why I shouldn't. You know what I mean? Because ultimately, our marriage and us as a whole are going to benefit from it. So why wouldn't I? You know what I mean? So I'm gonna just lay back, and whatever she needs, I got her back, like a bra strap.
This is to me a mark of a real man that doesn't need to be, not necessarily a centre of attention, because, there are moments when you need to be the centre of attention. I get that. But just not intimidated by the fact that today it's just not your day, it's my wife's day. And what's interesting is what she said to me, which I find very interesting. She said, newfound success. When she was talking about, for those people that may not know what I'm talking about, Kali has just been in True Detective Night Country, and she has several other things that are coming out. But when she describes the success, she says, our newfound success, and when our thing, and we, and this is new to us, and we're navigating it.
And that goes to her, like, her being unselfish, right? Because she could be like, it's my success, it's my career. No, it's our career. It's like the same, like I was just, even before you said that, she came with me to the fights. Like, that's my thing, but it's our thing, right? I ask her for advice with boxing. She'll ask me for advice in certain things. And I think that's where the balance comes in at. And that's where, like, believe it or not, like, the mutual respect comes at, right? She knows I'm really good with business and things like that. And actually, believe it or not, we actually, I think, driving to Long Island, we wrote a movie driving. So she's actually going to pitch the movie that we actually, which is actually interesting. It should be interesting if we can get it pushed through. But it's all balance. It's all balance. But you should always come together at a certain point, and that's what we do, right? We balance each other. I love being there for her. I love when she lets me take care of her. I love taking care of her because it's easy to do, because the type of woman she is. She's very independent. She's very strong. So when she lays back,
she's no fool. She knows the time to, let me just take a step back and let my man. She's no fool.
No, not at all. Not at all. And like I said, she deserves everything that she's getting now, and she deserves to be pampered every now and then. She deserves it, So I give her, you know what I mean? She deserves it. Like, I couldn't be happier.
You get reviews, you get news, you get boxing talk, you get relationship advice on this podcast.
One-stop shop, baby. It's a one-stop shop.
You know you're gonna fuck up with lots of men's flow right about now.
Nah, I mean, you know what? Then fucking fall in line, inbox me, and I'll teach you how to be a real man. Because this is how you're supposed to treat a woman. And if you're not treating a woman like that, you're still a boy, and you still need to, you know what I mean? If you're in a relationship and you're not treating your woman like this, you possibly need to get out of the relationship and go run around and whore it up around town or something like that. Because if you're not all in, then don't be all in. That's it. I'm all in with her. Like, if God forbid there's something, you know what I mean? But at least I know I tried my best. And this is, again, the same thing with managing. I always want to know I gave my best. Same thing with her with acting. She always gives her best. So if you're always giving your best, nobody can tell you anything different.
Talking about, obviously, True Detective, she worked with a heavyweight, Jodie Foster, and now the next project, well, she's already shot it, but it's about to come out, another heavyweight, Mike Tyson. Oh my days.
Crazy, right? You know, it's so crazy. It's so crazy, right? Um, Mike Tyson and Sean Penn.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I like Sean Penn. Don't get it twisted. Sean Penn is a quality actor. But let's talk about Mike Tyson.
I mean, I've seen clips of the movie, and he's actually splendid in it. He's really good, you know. He's actually really good in the movie, and yeah, it's amazing, man. I think it's a fighter thing. I think it's a boxer thing. You know what I mean? He immersed himself in the role, and I believe that he is who he is in the movie. So it's actually quite funny.
I didn't even know Sean Penn was in it, so she's obviously told me ages ago about the Mike Tyson thing. And when I said, but my girl's in a thing with Sean Penn as well. But we were both like, yeah, this is great. But Mike Tyson.
But Mike Tyson, yeah, exactly. Let me just go back to Night Country real quick and Jodie Foster. So she's been in movies for I don't what since she was like 6 months old or something like that, or in a Coppertone commercial when she was a little baby. What an amazing woman! What a down to earth, unbelievable lady she is. We went to Alaska. We spent 6 days in Alaska with her, me and Kay. We had tour guides and stuff, but she is the most down to earth movie star you'll ever meet in your entire life. Like, just love her, and she loves me too. You know what I mean? Because I have her. I make her laugh the entire time, right? So
How could she not?
I don't know.
Let me tell you something. I said to Kaylee, right, and this is no disrespect to where she's at and where she's going to, but I said, let me tell you, what Jodie Foster did for you in terms of building the narrative around your character, I am telling you, it doesn't happen, or it rarely happens. That is a mark of what not only a wonderful human being she is,
Right.
but as how gracious and, you know, generous as an actor. Because I tell you what, most actors would not have done that for her. She's the biggest star. She's the Oscar winner, and it would have been. Listen, I've been in roles, right, Brian, where I've got a little scene. I've not much to say, but I've got a little scene, and it's going very well, and the emotion's coming out, and someone has stopped and gone, no, I want those lines, because they can't get to the place where I've just gotten to emotionally.
Wow.
And so they don't want me to shine in that scene, and they've literally stolen my lines. So when I heard that about Jodie Foster, and I've been and I'm not just saying this, I have watched Jodie Foster since, listen, I've been involved in acting since I was a kid. So imagine I watched her films as a child, right? So to hear that, how gracious she was, to me, I was like, listen, I have a newfound respect for this woman.
She's just a lovely soul. That's the best thing. That's the best way to describe her. Like, when I first met her, it was in Iceland, and we went to an Indian restaurant, right? We were there for 3 hours talking. I felt like it was like a long lost auntie, right? Just you can open right up to her, and
I'm not sure she wants the auntie, because that suggests old.
I mean, I ain't saying nothing, but she's up there in age. She's a little up there.
She's a big woman.
She's a big little woman. You know what I mean? But yeah, no. And to follow what you're saying, she could outshine Kaylee. But man, when you watch True Detective, they're right there. And I'm not saying it because it's Kaylee. Like, it's just, it was right there. You know what I mean? Just, it was unbelievable. It was kind of unbelievable to watch.
I said the same thing to Kaylee. So it's not just you saying it. To go in and match that energy of an Oscar winner, right? To go in to that situation, and it's stressful learning all of those lines, and then the technical constraints of being. It's not like theatre where there's a beginning, a middle, and the end. You shoot things out of. You sync, and you want to get to an emotional level that you maybe yesterday shot scene 1 and then you're shooting scene 55 and you're supposed to be emotional here, but there's been no arc. I said to her, you didn't look like a 3-timer or a 3-bouter.
No, so it was like we were talking about earlier, right? Canelo and Berlanga, right? It's almost the same scenario, but Canelo. Actually, you know what I mean? If we're saying Canelo was Jodie and Kali is Berlanga. Canelo let Berlanga hang in there with her, and that's what Jodie did. She allowed her to. It was beautiful to watch. It really was. And I was like, I didn't watch the last episode until last night. You know, I was a little behind because I had a long weekend, and I was so proud of her. I just told her I was so proud of her, and like I could hear her downstairs. I left a little note for her just because it was Monday. I just left a little note for her telling her how proud I was with her and I appreciate. But I hear her telling her mother about it right now. But it was she did an amazing job. Like the last episode was good. I know a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it, but I was thinking, please don't tell me what happens in the end because I haven't watched it.
No, I'm not. I know a lot of people didn't like the series because it wasn't like the first one or whatever. And I know a lot of people that loved the series. I mean, if it wasn't her in it, I would have watched it because it was really like, it was just interesting. It was different. You know, it wasn't like the normal shoot 'em up, you know, detective thing, you know, everybody going around humping everybody and shit like that. You know what I mean? Every episode, it was good. It was good. I enjoyed it.
Like I say, it's very, very, very rare that happens, and I'm glad she experienced that because, yeah, just without me getting too deep, I'm just glad she experienced that because it's not always as. It's like everything. It's like boxing, isn't it? Like the politics.
So sometimes you do certain things because you know it was rough on me too because you know the first episode I had an issue with. Right, it was that little love scene and things like that because I just don't like to see my wife in that type of position. So it was an issue, right? It was a huge issue for me because it's acting, but it's still her physically, right? So I don't like that type of shit. I'll never like that type of shit, and I won't get used to that type of shit. That's where me as a husband, that's where I draw my line.
Right, interesting.
Right, and that's where my line in the sand is drawn that I don't want to see any more of those scenes. But to your point, you do certain things to get to a certain point. So now she did True Detective. She did it with Jodie Foster. She did it for HBO. Now she has some say-so if she gets that offered that in another movie or another role or anything like that. She can say no.
It's interesting because actually it's quite difficult to say no, although I believe she will do. But going back to your point of, and again, there's no judgment. For me as an actor, that's just a piece of acting. But I get it's your wife. And so for me, it was a very interesting take on the relationship dynamics. But I can also equally understand how you're like, sorry? What? Really?
So any man would say, shut up, let her do that shit and get that money. I'm just not, it's not important to me like that. You know, the physical act, like, because I know that they use prosthetics and they weren't really touching when she was on top of them. It's the intimate act of the kiss that because to me it's a fluid transfer between two different people. That's not, you know what I'm saying? I'm not in a polygamous relationship. I'm in a monogamous relationship with my wife that I don't want to have to deal with that no more. But just because you're acting doesn't make it okay.
Listen, I can't say I agree with you, but I understand your point. I completely understand. I think because I've never really thought of it, if I'm honest, I thought because it was handled, most women would have had to have derobed the top. Trust me. So I was like, wow, they handled that really well. But now when I listen to your side, I said, you know what? I didn't think of... I guess as actors, we get used to the intimacy.
So it's funny, Jackie, I brought it up to Jodie and she said the same thing that you said. That she didn't see it like that, but she sees my point.
Yeah, I learned something new today. I learned something because I really didn't view it like that.
I'll support my wife up until that point. It's a hard no for me. I met her as a boxer. I'm adapting to the acting, and I'm supporting her as best I can. But there has to be, like I said, the balance. I'll support you to a certain extent, and then I'm not supporting that. I don't want to see it.
On a lighter note, how do you envision the future of women's boxing, and what changes would you like to see within the industry?
I mean, I would like to see. You know what, man? It's been changing so much, and it's been evolving so much. You know, Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor in Madison Square Garden. I think it's on an upward trajectory. Certain promoters are losing traction because I don't think that they're upkeeping their women's division as they did in the past. But you also see certain promoters that are getting into women's boxing, which like Queensberry. Queensberry has some females signed, and as well as, like I said, some promotions here in the United States that didn't have a lot of females at one time. Now everybody is finding value in women's boxing. So I think it's growing, and I think it's going to continue to grow. I think everybody still needs to do their part. I think some females need to get out of their head a little bit and think, they're worth more than they are. That's some of the issues that the promoters have. It's either you think you're worth more than you are, or you just don't want to fight. If you don't want to fight, just say you don't want to fight. Don't outprice yourself, because that's what a lot of them do, right? I wouldn't change anything at this point. I think everything is flowing like a nice little ocean right now, and there's a lot of current happening, and there's a lot of waves to be made, and I think there's a lot of motion right now, so I think it's good. I think everybody just needs to keep doing what they're doing and keep putting on good fights.
So you just mentioned Amanda Serrano, and obviously she's fighting this weekend. What date is this weekend? The 2nd of March, I think. In a featherweight division, Saturday the 2nd of March, yeah, for the IBF, the IBO, the WBA, and the WBO world titles against Nina Menke. What's your thoughts on that fight?
Do you want another knock-knock joke?
Oh my God, yes! That's so bad.
I mean, all kudos to Amanda Serrano, and she's doing her thing. The fight's in Puerto Rico. She'll be the main event. Excuse me, the main event. I guess Nina Menke was the next name on the list. Do I think it's going to be competitive? No. Do I think, and this is no disrespect to Nina Menke or anything like that, do I think she's, built up European fighter? Yeah, I do. Do I think she's going to get completely outclassed? Yeah. But, she can always say she fought for a unified title, and at the end of the day, I just don't think it's going to be close. I think Amanda is on a different level than Nina. I just don't think it's going to be competitive. And that's not saying anything negative towards Amanda or Nina. It's two different levels.
Is it that is it that Amanda wants to stay active, and these are I shouldn't say the only people, but she can only fight what's put in front of her?
It's the people that are being placed in front of her by her management and by her promotion. There's other fighters out there that she could fight. She could have fought Sky Nicholson. She could have fought Tierra Brown. There's a lot harder fighters out there that she could have fought. But for a payday, for being able to hold on to the title, I wouldn't fight a hard fight in my home country either. I mean, I would bring in Nina Menke, who's marketable, and I think she's undefeated. If she's not undefeated, she has only one loss. I'm not even sure. I know she has a pretty good record.
I think she got a couple of losses, to be fair.
From an outsider looking in, she looks like a viable opponent, right? And she looks like a real opponent. Is she a real threat? Not in the least. But that's, us boxing people know that, right? But the casual boxing fan that's going to show up to the event, they're going to celebrate Amanda and everything, as well they should, right? So it was a good opponent by the management and the promotion to pick for her. But is there other bigger fights out there? Yeah, there's a lot of other big fights out there. Will we see them? I don't know how much Amanda has left in the tank.
And this is the point. So in order for her to kind of, I was going to say solidify her status, but she kind of already has done, but she in her last fight, that history-making fight, first 3-minute round, I think it was it Danila Ramos, gave a good account of herself, but I felt like the levels were she totally outclassed her. Is it a case of now that she should be thinking about, I may not have too many fights left in me. Why not go all out and get the biggest and best fights?
Where are the fights at 126? I mean, no. And again, this is where we were talking about some of the promotions have slacked off with women's boxing. Nobody built another star in the 122s, in the 126s, in the 130s. I mean, and then let's face it. If Amanda steps up or Bumgardner goes down, does anybody really want to see that after the situation went on with Bumgardner? I don't, because you know what I'm saying? You don't know if she's clean or not. You know, everybody can tell me about an A and a B sample, but if I get pulled over by the police and I'm drunk and I blow that I'm drunk in a breathalyzer and I get arrested, I'm drunk driving, right? So now all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying? Now I blow again in a couple weeks. Yeah, I'm not going to be drunk. So I don't understand the sanctioning body's theory on letting her keep certain titles. You know, there's two titles that haven't been decided. It's the WBA and the IBF. I think the WBO and the WBC are, you know, let her keep her titles. I don't get it. If you did something illegal, you did something illegal. It's just, you know what I mean? I think you should be punished for it. So do people want to really see her anymore? Is she a draw anymore? Is she going to draw ratings anymore? I don't think so. I mean, I don't want to see her.
You're talking about Alicia now?
Yeah, I'm talking about Alicia. I mean, if I was Serrano's people, which they're pretty smart, I would have, you know, I'd have her toenails tested. I'd have everything tested on her. You know what I mean? There wouldn't be a testing that I wouldn't go through now to fight her. And I think that's another thing she needs to think about at this point. You know, her reputation is tarnished. She was doing so much commentary on DAZN. She was here, she was there, she was everywhere. And the fact that she acted like it didn't happen, I think infuriates a lot of boxing aficionados out there. And if it was me and I had fighters in her division, I wouldn't give her a chance to shine at all. You know what I mean? A cheat is a cheat is a cheat.
And I'm going to push back very slightly with this, because the argument could be that there are male fighters that have allegedly taken performance-enhancing drugs and nothing's ever happened to them.
Well, look at Conor Benn, right? So he's suspended by, the BBBOC right now? The only reason why Alicia is not suspended is because her state commission, there is none right now. So after her fight, the commissioner stepped down. So there's nobody to suspend her. So hence, there's no reason for her to like, if you look on her box rec, it says she's suspended by the Association of Boxing Commission. It doesn't say she's suspended by Michigan. She's not suspended by Michigan because there is no Michigan commissioner right now. So there's nobody to place her on suspension. So this is why she's running around all willy-nilly, acting like she doesn't know what happened and she didn't sit on the needle or whatever happened, whatever the case may be. So there's a difference, right? So and then with the whole Conor Benn situation, Eddie may act like it didn't happen, but Conor is fighting in the United States for a reason. I don't know if the UK fans and American fans are the same, but I'm sure he lost a lot of fans in the UK, you know, testing dirty, and she did as well. Like, if you go on her social media, it's a lot of hate. Like, she acts like nothing happened, and I think because they both act like nothing happened, I think it infuriates people. And me, from being in boxing as long as I have, it pisses me off. To the both of them, you know what I'm saying? That I always think for every action there's a reaction, and for whatever you do, you should always have consequences. But it looks like she may get away scot-free, and Conor is still able to fight in the United States, which makes no sense to me.
I could talk to you for many, many more hours, because I am sure there are more stories there. I'll have you on again.
Okay. We only scratched the surface.
It's been an absolute pleasure to get to know a little bit more about you and about your journey. Thanks very much for giving us your time.
Oh, no. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much what you do for women's boxing. Thanks for giving everybody a platform, and, you give people an unsolicited amount of time to talk to you, and you're greatly appreciated. And I don't think that you get enough credit for what you do. So I appreciate you.